Pandemic completely took our legs out. 300 plus events were canceled. 500,000 people wanted to kill me. It was a fucking disaster. You have no idea.
I'm Joe De Sena, and I'm the founder of Spartan Race.
What is the Spartan Race?
You're halfway through the course. You're cold, tired, and hungry. You want to cry. You're crawling under barbed wire. You're freezing. What are you going to do? You're going to quit? We have a prayer. We have a Spartan prayer. God, give me the worst stuff you have. Give me the leftovers, the toil, the torment, the storm. Give me the strength to deal with it, and just promise me you'll keep it coming. Wall Street Journal's bankruptcy section a year and a half ago. Joe's not going to make it. He's not paying his bills. Spartan's going down. But we survived. I've had people come up and say, I had a gun to my head, but I had a race next week with my friends, and I put the gun down. I was getting paid in a currency, which was, you changed my life. You've got to have purpose, your why. If you don't have your why, when you get into the valley of death, which everybody goes into, you're gonna quit. Gerard Butler, Alicia Keys, the Kardashians, Lance Armstrong, go down the list of people that have come out and done this thing.
You and Goggins ever gonna like do some sort of collab?
We did years ago. We had him at one of our first races on the farm. Yeah, he got lost. I ran into a bear. We all have circuit breakers in our head that are telling us to not do the very things we need to do.
And your advice for everybody who is listening to this would be?
You should make the time to do the hard things so that you live to your full potential.
Kicking Ass, Taking Names podcast, and today we are here with an incredible guest. This man has transformed countless millions of lives, 10 million lives, going on 100 million, founder of Spartan, Joe De Sena, and he has written multiple books, The Spartan Way, Rise Up,
Fit.
Spartan Fit,
Spartan Up,
and also a parenting, kind of like a parenting book, your 10 rules for resilience. And so been on, tons of big podcasts. He's got a lot of great content, but the toughest part was his business was built off of people, connection, community, like growing as an individual. Over a million people have been have had positive impacts from this. And then what's incredible is that you guys survived through COVID.
Barely.
So I want to I was thinking about it. I was like, how do I start this thing off? So I want to know who you are and then go into that, because I'm really curious about that.
Regular guy, grew up in Queens, New York. Organized crime capital of the world. If you saw Goodfellas, I grew up ground zero for that. So there was a lot of hustle in that neighborhood. There was a lot of hardcore individuals. The message was, don't be a rat. If you weren't waking up early, if you weren't getting it done, if you weren't doing the hard things, you got left behind. So definitely became part of my ethos, my family's ethos, my friends, like everybody, that's who we were. I loved business just like you do. I couldn't wait to make money. My mom stumbles upon a yogi in the 1970s in a health food store. He pivots her life. He says, you're doing it all wrong. Your lifestyle is a disaster. You need to meditate. You need to do yoga. You need to become a vegan. You need to do long distance running. Anyway, she buys into it, brings that whole message home. My mom and dad get a divorce. So weird. All of a sudden, we got monks in our living room, chanting going on. Strange times. I don't want any part of it. My sister doesn't want any part of it. We want to go to a pizza place or get Chinese food. Like, this is all nonsense. And I took a traditional path, just like everybody else. But later in life, I realized my mom was right. Just like we've all realized my mom was right. Right? That's why you've got this podcast. We're all optimizing our lives now. We're taking cold showers. We're doing burpees. We're sweating. But she was way ahead of her time. There were very few people back then pushing this. When I felt unhealthy and I found what she was pushing back in the mid-90s, I started to rope other people into it. And what started to happen was my network grew. Because when you do hard things with people, challenging things, when you're outdoors with them, you build relationships for life. You start talking about the next adventure. How did you sleep last night? What did you drink? What did you eat? Are you cutting back your calories? All of a sudden, what was a once a month conversation with somebody becomes a once a day conversation with somebody. So it not only built my relationships, my network, but it really helped my businesses over the years, hockey stick. And I've by the way, I've shared that with hundreds of other businesses. And, you could do golf, you could do drinks, you could go out to dinner with customers, but when you take people to do, crawl under barbed wire together, it game changing.
So going into the whole Spartan race, let's first start with that. What is the Spartan race, and how do people find the Spartan race? Like what drives them to want to do it?
So we get about 1.2 million people a month coming to the website. We get, this year we'll get about 1.3, 1.4 million people sign up for a race. We've had 10 million to date. It's very rare for somebody to do one of our events and not say, I'm back with my husband, I'm back with my wife, I lost 200 pounds, I no longer drink, I gave up drugs, and I didn't kill myself. And every single day we get those stories. You could listen to a podcast, you could read a book, you can go to a convention. Nothing changes your life like doing hard shit. Yeah. And that's what we do. It's a global brand. It's across 45 countries. When you've had, Venus Serena was on Threads today saying she's signed up for Spartan Race. She's getting in shape. Who's with her? So like Gerard Butler, Alicia Keys, count them on 5 hands the amount of super celebrities, the Kardashians, Lance Armstrong. Go down the list of people that have come out and done this thing, as well as the mom or dad or little 6-year-old kid. 83-year-old guy just finished his 200th event, 83 years old, right? So how do they find it? You do it, you tell 10 friends, and it just makes its way around the neighborhood.
I noticed this, it has its own life to it, right? So I was talking to someone yesterday, and I didn't mention it at all. And they're like, yeah, I really like to do these Spartan races. And I was like, do you know I'm sitting down with Joe tomorrow? Yeah. So, and and it was just incredible to have that happen when I did not plan it at all. Like, I was like, this thing's pretty big, because I've always been into this, fitness, and I've always been like a health nut. I personally think I'm like crazy in a lot of ways, or I'm like, you put this challenge, I'm like, let's go. I really want that.
You're all in.
I'm all in. But the thing is I've always been kind of bored. Like, you talk about this, that the monotony of like a 100-mile hike, the monotony of like a 30-mile, a 50-mile, a 75-mile row. And so you guys, you talk a lot about the neurological
changes,
aspects and things in the brain that you've studied over time, and you've said, this is how I'm going to design this. And so there's so many things I want to go into, but let's say the first 10 years, you guys struggled, you say, right?
I mean, we struggled. This is a 24-year-old overnight success. Mm-hmm. So from 2000, first race we put on was with Richard Branson in the British Virgin Islands. From then until 2015, 15 years, we didn't make money. Mm-hmm. What business do you know? What founder do you know that sticks with it? Nobody.
Yeah.
95% of businesses fail way before 15 years goes by. But I was really passionate about it. I was getting paid in a currency which was, you changed my life, right? That's a nice currency to get paid in. And look, I didn't want to be embarrassed. I didn't want to quit. I wanted to make the thing work. And so it finally worked. It finally made money. We bought out our competitor, Tough Mudder. We got into other spaces, hiking, trail running, functional fitness. We want to be the Louis Vuitton of hard shit. And then the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. And the pandemic completely took our legs out. We had already sold 500,000 tickets when we got shut down around the world. 300 plus events were canceled. 500,000 people wanted to kill me. That's $50 million they wanted back. Mm-hmm. I said, don't be silly. The world's going to open back up in 2 weeks. I'll give everybody 2 tickets. If you bought 1, I'll give you 2. I gave away $100 million worth of entries. Fast forward 2 years later, it wasn't 2 weeks. World opens back up. I've got to launch 250, 300 events at once around the world. Hire 400 people back. Get the trucks rolling, get the airlines rolling, get the insurance rolling, book, 250, 300 venues all at once. Oh, and by the way, the first $100 million revenue, there is none.
Yep.
Because I gave away all those tickets. So to say it was a fucking disaster, you have no idea. You're listening to this, you don't even know what we've been through. Big story, cover of the Wall Street Journal's bankruptcy section a year and a half ago. Joe's not going to make it. He's not paying his bill. Spartan's going down. But we survived. This year's going to be a great year, knock on wood.
How, though? How
do we survive? I have no idea. I really have no idea. I every night I would go to bed. It was easier to go to bed than it was to wake up. And I'm a very motivated guy.
Yeah.
People were pissed at us around the world. No one had the right story. They don't understand what we're going through. We owed the government money. We owed vendors money. We owed everybody money.
I heard you were doing a negotiation. I heard you overheard you when you were talking with Tyler.
Yeah.
And you guys said you were negotiating with the
211-day negotiation with the government. We owed the government a lot of money. Government knew who we were. They worked with us, which helped. The vendors worked with us. But quite honestly, reflecting back on what happened, bankruptcy would have been the most logical thing to do. Just go bankrupt. Don't pay anybody.
But you don't go 15 years without making money and then bankrupt after an event.
So we hung in, and I'm a believer that there's something really magical and special about tough times. They suck when you're going through them. They're great to reflect back on. They're like, who wants to read a book where the hero didn't have to do anything hard, just inherited a bunch of money, married a beautiful girl, got the castle, and lived happy? Who wants to read that story?
Yeah.
Right? We didn't get any of that.
Yeah.
We didn't get the castle. We didn't get anything.
So going back to how you grew up, you were kind of a gangster growing up, right?
No. I was around a lot of gangsters. All of us as young kids wanted to be that because they had the money, they had the nice cars, they had the respect. But
you worked for some mafia guys?
I started cleaning swimming pools at a very young age, in my preteens, and all my customers were wise guys. Most of my customers were wise guys. We had 700 customers by the time I graduated college. All the names you're probably too young, but all the names you would have read about back then in the 80s and 90s. And you know what? They were great people. They treated me well. They paid. They tipped me well. I have nothing negative to say. And they taught me a lot. I had the big boss, is the guy that started me out in business, the boss at a banana organized crime family. He said to me, the first day I was on the job with him, he said, all right, here's what we're going to do. On time is late. You're supposed to be there at 8 a.m. You get here at 7:45. Number two, if I tell you to clean the pool, you're going way above and beyond that. You're going to clean the windows, clean out the shed, straighten up the lawn. Even though you're not getting paid for that, you need to add a lot of value. And number three, never ask for money. If you do a good job, you get paid. Counterintuitive. Kid's getting in business. He wants to get paid. He's got his hand out, but the guy's telling me, don't put my hand out. But his point was, if you do a good job and you're invaluable, they're going to want to keep you. They're going to pay you. Right? A lot of people show up with their hand out asking before they delivered any value. And so I know with me, when people show up that way with me, I'm less interested in them.
So you go from that, you sell your company.
Yep.
After that, you decide to go to Wall Street. What inspires you?
What inspires me to go to Wall Street? I met a guy in Ithaca, New York. My parents got divorced. My mom moved to Ithaca, where Cornell University is located, and did my high school in Ithaca. And I met a guy, an old Italian man. He's still my friend. He's 84 now. Great guy. And he said, what the hell are you doing? He said, you got so much energy. You got personality. You can communicate. Get out of the neighborhood. When you graduate college, go to Wall Street. And I thought Wall Street, you had that 1987 crash. Again, it was before your time. I said, nobody's making money. I don't even know what it really was. And I got 700 customers. I got all these wise guys that come. Why would I go to Wall Street? I got a backhoe I own. I got trucks I own, a building. Anyway, I graduated. I went and ran my business. I did not listen to him. And for 48 months, every month on the first of the month, he called me. Joe, what are you doing? You sell your business yet? You go to Wall Street? No, Al, I didn't go. Joe, what are you doing? Every month. 48 months in, he says, Joe, I want you to buy a stock. It's called Syntex, a drug company. And I thought, I don't even have a brokerage account. The hell, I'm not buying a stock. I went to my customer's house who owed me a lot of money. And I was going to pick up a check. They said, stop by this afternoon. I'll pay you for the job. Great job. They owed me over $200,000. Now we were doing more than cleaning pools. We were doing construction work. His name was Eli Novak. He was pharmacist. And I said, hey, Eli, my buddy just called me, told me to buy this stock, this drug company, Syntax. And he had just come out of the shower. He was towel drying his hair. He goes, I can't believe you're talking about Syntax. I'm going to buy some today. And in front of me, he buys like 10,000 shares. It's $140,000. I thought, wow, this guy's nuts. Anyway, he convinces me to do the same. And he sits me down. He sets me up on an account. He owes me money, so he makes me take the money. And he says, you're single, you're young, good time to take risk, even if you lose it. Convinces me to buy the stock. The next day, the company got taken over. And I made a lot of money, and I thought, I'm going to Wall Street. Cleaning pools is for the birds. And that's how it happened.
You had an interesting predicament growing up. So your mom and your dad were kind of like opposites, right? I have a very similar like type of thing. So, you know, my mom's more like a health nut conspiracy theorist. My dad's more of like a business, make money. That's all that matters in life. So they end up splitting up, right, at some point, and you end up having to go from a lifestyle from a certain level where you were used to comfort. And you said you started to see your mom just struggle. So can you speak a little bit about how that shaped you?
There's a great Stoic philosopher, Seneca. He advised Nero in the years and years and years ago. He was the richest guy on the planet back then, kind of like a Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos. And he figured out early on with his Stoic philosophy that actually he needed to ground himself once a month and go outside and live like a bum and live in the street. So imagine being the richest guy in the world at the time, and you're going to go live in the street and remove all your possessions for a period of time and get grounded. But there's something really valuable in that process, in that you start to have gratitude for the things you have. You start to maybe not believe your own nonsense, appreciate things, change your frame of reference. So I think what you're describing is exactly what happened to me. My dad was doing well. My parents got divorced. My mom was not doing well. And we went from having a nice car, a nice house, to her not being able to pay the mortgage and barely be able to buy a car, and seeing her cry a lot because, she had money issues. So, tough times, but really great times for me when reflecting back. So, look, you don't wish that on anybody, but you do kind of wish it on everybody. Like, everybody should probably go through really tough times. I mean, the reason we're in the business of putting obstacles in front of people is because that's when you grow. You don't grow on the couch like I am now. There's no growth. No growth watching Netflix. Growth comes when you struggle. So the community, our community, 10 million strong, they'll send me texts. They'll say, I hope you have a shitty day today, Joe. Because that's a positive. We have a prayer. We have a Spartan prayer. And it's derived from a World War II paratrooper, French paratrooper, who they found in the field dead. And they pulled a note out of his pocket. And the note said, God, I know you don't have any of the good stuff left. Everybody's been asking you for a warm shower, a warm meal. They want to get back with their families. You probably don't have anything left. Give me the worst stuff you have. Give me the leftovers, the toil, the torment, the storm. Give me the strength to deal with it. And just promise me you'll keep it coming. And that's our prayer.
Dang.
Right? Our prayer is give us the shit. Give the other people, take care of the other people that need the good stuff. But we're strong. We've got the mindset to deal with the shit. Give it to us and just keep it coming.
So now you're in the business of selling adversity.
We sell adversity. That's exactly, I like that. We sell adversity.
So in the business of selling adversity in a generation that has become so used to comfort.
This is a comfort generation.
Yeah.
Generation Comfort. That's what we should call them.
How do you feel about that?
Gen Comfort. Has anybody coined that? We got to coin that. This is Gen Comfort.
So let's go into this. So this mindset, I want to know, what have you learned? Why Spartan Race? Why did it start?
Why did it start? I mean, it goes back to my mom's philosophy, my mom's teaching. That yogi that taught my mom those things also started a race back in the 70s called the Transcendence Run. 3,100-mile run around a 1-mile loop. You getting that?
That's just
3,100 miles around a 1-mile loop. 50 to 60 days of running in circles in Queens. Still goes on today. Okay.
Was that like 12,500 laps or something like that?
No, it's 3,100 laps.
Oh, okay.
1 mile loop.
Oh, 1 mile loop. I was thinking a track, so multiplied it.
Yeah, right. No, 1 mile loop. And so think about that. And the point was that this guru was teaching my mom and others was the mind is capable of so much more if you allow it, right? And you can hold firm, and you can have standards, and you can have discipline, and you can have commitment. So it was some of that. It was some of watching my mom meditate. It was some of the tough guy stuff. Mm-hmm. Seeing guys go to jail for 25 years and not rat out their business associates, mm-hmm. right? You think you have it tough? Could you do 25 years?
Couldn't do 25 days.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't want to go.
So think about that as a narrative in the neighborhood. Young kids like, oh, you got a 25-year bid. He'll be fine. He's tough as nails. Right? Yeah. You'd rather do the 3,100 miles.
Yeah.
So I think Spartan was a little bit of that. The other part of it was I'm an entrepreneur. And I've been an entrepreneur from my preteens. And when you're an entrepreneur, everything that can go wrong does go wrong. Just like what happened with COVID with me. And so why not practice it? Go run for long distances to practice hard because I know I'm going to face hard in my business life. Why not take the cold shower? Because I know I'm going to face hard in my personal life. Why not do the burpees? Number one, from a health and wellness perspective, I'm going to get healthier. But number two, I'm going to build calluses on my brain. I'm going to build a muscle I need, the hard muscle, so that I could do the time when I have to.
But when you originally started the Spartan Race, you weren't living, you said you were you a banker? Because I know you said at some point you met your wife.
I was a banker. I was living a soft life. I became fat, right? I missed the neighborhood. I missed working with my hands, and I missed being outside. Mm-hmm. And I loved how I felt when I did hard stuff. I loved how I felt it alone, but I loved doing it with groups. We talked about that. So how do I do this at scale? How do I one, selfishly get to do it myself every single day as a business? But number two, how do I turn this into a lifestyle for others? You know, I thought maybe there was 50,000 people globally. Maybe 50,000 people globally would do this stuff. I didn't think we'd ever hit 10 million. I don't even know how. We're going to be in the Olympics, 2028, LA. Mm-hmm. We're going to be in the Olympics. How the hell did we pull that off?
Yeah. And that's after almost everything falling apart in the last few years.
Disaster.
But if you look at any story, the greatest rise always comes usually right after the greatest fall.
This was a tough one. This was God was really testing me.
Yeah. So do you feel like you're out of the waters yet?
We're out. We still owe some vendors some money. We still owe some things, but this year's looking great. Knock on wood. This year's looking really, really great.
Looking to the future of the brand, because you've got some super followers. I mean, you posted we said like, hey, we're so excited to get Joe on, and I already got some followers just by posting. You posted on your story just briefly, and these people are just like, okay, who's this? Follow.
Nice.
And I was like, wow, that's incredible, because a lot of times you don't get any follows. You're just kind of like, oh yeah, we're gonna do something, one person, but just like a handful of more than a handful of people off of a brief moment, it's like, okay, well, if we post some clips and
nice.
Joe collaborates with us, we're gonna get a lot of like loyal Spartans, and it's cool because this is something that like to push yourself. It became such a big thing with like the Tom Bilyeu and the Impact Theory guys, and then he did that legendary interview and had You Can't Hurt Me. What's
Goggins?
Goggins. And then like this whole thing, it's like a subset of culture now. But your goal is to have 100 million people.
I want hard and discomfort and challenge and commitment and discipline to reach the masses, because it's that important for us to be, living our fullest potential. We have to struggle. The rest of the world, 99% of the rest of the world is pitching easy, 6-minute abs, Uber Eats, popcorn, chocolate, garbage, right? We're at the other end of the spectrum saying, no, that stuff might make companies money. It does not help you optimize your life. You need to come out in the rain. You need to be a little cold. You should be tired, wet, hungry. That's what we're selling. That's what we're pushing. And I want the whole world to experience that.
Do you think that you've gotten to this point where when you reach a level of discomfort, you actually get comfortable?
Yes. You will flip a switch where if you do it long enough, you will open up those dopamine pathways in your brain, and all of a sudden, that is a comfortable place to be. I'm actually uncomfortable when it's too nice.
Yeah.
I am. I've completely flipped somehow my biology. I am uncomfortable when this is too nice right now, sitting here with you.
This was very uncomfortable when I first started it. When I first started doing podcasts, I was very nervous. Now I'm in that point of like getting to comfort, but I don't know if I want to get too comfortable because that's
you should put like beds of nails, rusty nails that you and your guest have to sit on.
Yeah, I don't know if I would get too many guests, but let's talk about specifically, because I know who's going to be watching this, and let's say they want to do a Spartan race.
So here's what I want to do. Your company's called
Kicking Ass Taking Names.
Do I say Katan or just Kicking Ass Taking Names?
Kicking Ass Taking Names, KATN.
All right, KATN, Kicking Ass Taking Names. I'm going to challenge you. You pick any one of our events, Spartan, Tough Mudder, Trail Deck, any one of our events. We'll have 1,000 events this year somewhere in the world. All your people, all your followers, your tribe, your network, and the people you don't know, their friends, are all racing for free. It's on me. I want you to rally them all up. Ideally, you'd bring them all to one place.
I already know one for sure.
I want you. You got one friend? Come on, you got more than one.
No, I'm saying one that already does these things. So
that's that girl you're chasing. I know all about it. I know all about it. Rally them all up. No charge. Watch what happens. Okay? Watch your whole business will change. Your podcast will everything will change.
Let's do it.
All right?
That's kind of our theme is, if you've overcome adversity, you have a story, right?
Yep.
Like these are supposed to be stories of success. And it's people are like, well, there's already a lot of people doing that, but there's more bad than good nowadays. It seems like there's more online that's negative than good. And so if you can contribute to that and put out positive and good content to the world, that's to me a responsibility and also part of a purpose that's been mending into my.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Reinforced into my life. So I want to speak on that actually is purpose. So how do you view that this has had a purpose like for you, and what do you say about that word?
Here's the deal. Whenever you take on anything worthwhile in life, you're going to start a podcast, you're going to start a family, you're going to start a business, you're going to start a career. You're going to go into the valley of death in that process. You're going to get to a place where you want to quit. Nobody's watching my podcast. My new wife doesn't want to marry me, or she wants to leave me. My business sucks. I can't get any customers. My boss sucks in this new career. So everybody goes through the same journey. You're going to be in the valley of death. You're going to want to quit. Most people quit. If you have purpose, if there's a reason why you're doing what you're doing, if your purpose is to put food on the table, for example, you're not quitting that job. You got purpose. You got to eat, right? If your purpose is to be the best family man ever, you're going to hang on. You're going to pull that family back together. You're going to solve that issue with your wife or your husband. You've got to have purpose, your why. If you don't have your why, when you get into the valley of death, which everybody goes into, you're going to quit. You're going to quit because why are you doing this? It's too hard. Go do something else.
So the mindset behind the Spartan Race is that you really, what I get from when I hear you speak is that you can't escape. Like it's something that once you start, you have to finish.
I mean, you're halfway through the course. You can't understand what possessed you to sign up for this thing. You're cold, tired, and hungry. You want to cry. You're crawling under barbed wire. You're freezing. What are you going to do? You're going to quit? You're going to tell your friends you're done? You couldn't finish? No. You somehow push through. You get to the finish line. You earn the medal. You take the photo. There's a huge release of chemicals in your brain. You brag to everybody how you're a Spartan, and the next thing you know, you're signing up for another one. Because that's what hard things do. Now, here's what a lot of people don't know. When you do hard things and you go from the beginning to the end, you actually finish it, it creates a track in the brain. And that track helps you finish other hard things. And the more tracks you have, the more resilient you are. The easier it is for you to get through hard things in life. If you were to quit under the barbed wire, it leaves a gap. The neuroscientists can actually see on the brain the gap. You're more likely to quit other hard things. So not only do you get the medal and the finisher shirt and the bragging rights, you actually have a biological change that goes on in your brain that allows you to optimize your life.
And so, yeah, you go into this, you talk about the transformation and the reason that the currency that you get paid or you got paid when you weren't getting paid the cash was really the true currency for you was the transformation that you've seen.
My own transformation and other people's transformations and the stories. I got one today.
So what are some of those stories? Like I'm curious to hear.
Joe, I gave up drinking. I want you to know I've been drinking for 10 years. You got me on this Spartan thing, this Tough Mudder thing. I had to train. I had to go to bed early. I had to eat healthy. Next thing you know, I wasn't drinking. I haven't had a drink in fill in the blank. I no longer take drugs. I'm back with my husband or my boyfriend. I'm back with my wife or my girlfriend. I didn't kill myself. I've had people come up and say, I had a gun to my head, but I had a race next week with my friends and I put the gun down. I mean, the stories are, I had a woman say recently she was stabbed over 30 times by an ex-boyfriend. Should have died. The races helped keep her alive. Like, stories are unbelievable. Doctors that I meet out on the course, they say to me, hey, just so you know, I prescribe the races now for my patients. Mm-hmm. So, young kids, Joe, I didn't even know if I was going to finish school. I'm now going to West Point. Mm-hmm. Right? So, game changing.
And then speaking about kids, you have 4 kids, right?
2 boys, 2 girls.
And this is something that's actually interesting because it's like every time I see you speak about them, it's like you're like trying to create this way to make them go through adversity like an obstacle. It's like you have all these races you create, but your most difficult one is your 4 kids and getting them to be the people that you want them to be so they could be.
I'm just trying to look, even with me being a crazy dad and my family starting and owning Spartan, our lives are pretty cushy. We live in a nice house. We have food, 3 meals a day. You know, it's not that bad. John actually lived with me. A guy sitting, for those of you watching the podcast or listening, there's a gentleman sitting here who lived with me for a few months during the pandemic. And, you know, maybe if John was asked, he would say, well, Joe, you're a little nuts. You used to wake the kids up at 5 a.m. You'd make them go up the mountain. You make them work out. That's all true. But we weren't living on the front lines of Ukraine-Russia's battle. We weren't living in the Gaza Strip. Like, it's not that bad. So, yes, I torture my family. But relative to what? Like, what we really should do as a family is go live in a favela in Brazil, in a tent, and suffer like I described the great Stoic philosopher Seneca, right? Like, that's what we should do. But I'm too much of a wimp to do it, I guess.
What's your future plans for Spartan?
I want to go public. I don't know if I've ever said this before, but I want to go public. I want to change the 100 million lives, and I think the way to get there is to take the company public. So I'd love to get some feedback from folks on what they think about that. The downside to going public is you could become a slave to the stock price's ups and downs, but I know myself, I wouldn't. Mm-hmm. I don't care, stock up, stock down. Mm-hmm. Our mission would be the same, build a great company and convince people to change their life. And if I do that, the stock will take care of itself.
Yeah, you just have to make sure your board of directors are Spartans.
They would have to be Spartans or Mudders. I like that.
Yeah.
All shareholders will not be able to buy a share unless they've done an event. I like that.
So yeah, because if they're the main thing is like the big 12 or whoever guys at the table, right? Those guys are the ones
the board would have to be Spartans. I like that.
Yeah. So what? How I saw you were on Brad Lee's. Did he ever do one?
I don't know if Brad ever did one. Did Brad Lee ever do one?
Let's
call out Brad Lee.
You gotta call Brad Lee.
Brad Lee, we gotta call you out. But
also,
you said
I'm working on this interview with Brad soon, hopefully. Yeah. So I'll have to tell him we'll go together. You know.
Tell him.
And
Brad, by the way, Brad was great. It was great fun being with him. But if I recall correctly in my interview with him, he wasn't necessarily buying this idea that we should suffer every day. He wasn't really understanding that. I've got a lot of friends like him that say no pain, no pain. They don't necessarily understand this idea of no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
And I think Brad falls in that camp. But the reality is, Brad, if you're listening or anybody listening, if you want to turn iron into steel, you got to heat it, pound it, and drown it. It doesn't happen on its own. So that's why we do hard things, Brad.
I think also, right, like your level, right, that you want, right? I have this, there's this quote that someone said, it said, every new level is a new devil, right?
I like that.
With that, I think it really just depends. If you're comfortable at your level, you probably would think like,
but then you're not growing.
True.
You're not growing, right? True. You're either growing or dying. So if you're, by the way, Gary Brecka, great statement, right? Comfort is at the center of all disease. Like we are chasing comfort to our own detriment. So it's not just me. There's some smart people out there that are telling you, get out of your level. Like always be chasing a new level.
Yeah. And it's sometimes you have that discomfort pushed on you in a way that you don't expect. Like you get sick with something. Yeah, COVID, financial hardships, family trauma.
By the way, it's coming for everybody. Shit is coming for everybody. And so you should be prepared. I was just on the phone with a guy worth $8 billion. He got punched in the nose with something that he was not anticipating. Good thing he's rugged. Good thing he's resilient because he fought his way through it.
That's the thing. Like, so you've created this. You've changed a lot of lives. What have you, in the time that you've seen all of this change with people, what have you learned the most about people? And what is your advice to people?
What I've learned the most about people, 700 podcasts, 10 million people, is that we all have circuit breakers in our head that are telling us to not do the very things we need to do, right? Don't go out in the cold, you might freeze to death. Don't go across the desert, you might melt. Don't go out in the rain, you'll drown. Don't wake up too early in the morning, you'll be tired. Those are the things we're absolutely supposed to do, but our brain is hardwired from 20,000 years ago. And it's protecting us, but we're no longer in that dangerous environment. So we actually need to undo that circuit breaker, do the hard shit, start growing from level to level to level, and I promise you, life will be better for it.
And your advice for everybody who is listening to this right now would be?
Put on your fucking shoes, go outside and go for a run. Do some burpees. Don't tell me you don't have time. You definitely don't have time for cancer. You definitely don't have time to live in a fucking hospital, right? You should make the time to do the hard things so that you live, to your full potential.
So you had a guy, so I heard this story on Joe's.
696 pounds.
696 pounds, and you guys worked your way down in 18 months to get him to
265.
265. How and what was that story about?
Raw fruits and vegetables every day, 10 miles in the morning, 10 miles in the afternoon, carrying a sandbag. I told him, every pound you lose, I'll carry a pound. So I started carrying weight. Before you know it, I had a 100-pound sandbag I was carrying around, which is a nightmare, as you can imagine. And look, we had some knockdown, drag-out fights between him and I because he was going through a major change, and it hurts. He was used to 8 Egg McMuffins every day and 2 2-liter Sprites, and that wasn't available to him.
You guys went cold turkey, by the way?
We went cold turkey, man. He was on celery and carrots, and he was not a happy camper.
Wow.
It worked. I mean, the only reason that worked was because he came to the farm, I took his keys, and I took his wallet. If somebody tried to do that at home, they could never do it. It's just too hard.
What if he just wanted to run away and try to find a car and get out? Did he ever try?
I had one guy. I've done this, by the way, 100 times. I had one guy escape like that, and he hitchhiked his way off the farm. It was actually the day I was going on Rogan, and I get a call. I don't know if you know this, and I get a call. It was the day I was going on Rogan, and I get a call that that Sam escaped. And he's in the car driving away with his host, that he hitchhiked with, and he's explaining that he's being held against his will on the farm by a guy named Joe De Sena. And I'm on with Rogan at this time. And
this happened while you were
while I was on with Rogan. And and the car turns around and brings them back to the farm and says, I know Joe. and so he ended up on lockdown again. His life has completely changed. I talked to his father and his brother. He's back with his father. He's off drugs completely. It was lucky for him. He got the right. He got picked up by the right driver.
Wow. So you, at this point, I'm taking a stand for you because I believe in you right now more than you believe in yourself, or maybe you believed in yourself enough.
I've had veterans come up. Anybody's allowed to come up. I get. John knows this. I get thousands of emails. I want to come to the farm. I want to come to the farm. And it's like, do you really want to come to the farm? I mean, first step is sending an email, so that's cool. But like 99% of them, when push comes to shove, and I say when they have to be there, you don't hear from them again.
So if you have 100,000 emails, how many actually will be ready to show up at any time? I mean,
50.
And then you only accept one, or how does it work?
No, I would take all 50. But again, once I tell them, be here on this date. These are the rules of engagement. Talk to Peter. Peter manages. Very few of them actually show up.
You ever tried to produce a show around it?
We have. We've done it. Yeah.
You'd have to make it, 700 times shorter though. So you'd have to show all the cut scenes and the.
Yeah. No, I've had lots of people live on the farm for long periods of time.
So this is like a family to you now. Like these people.
I love helping people. I really do. I love helping people, especially if it means I get to torture them.
Yeah. How hard is it tough? I don't want to say Tough Mudder or a Spartan Race, but really, because you guys own both, right? So how hard are these races? What are they? The 3.5 miles.
God forbid you and I were in a car crash. God forbid, and we had to walk 42 miles to safety to get to our family. Could we do it?
Yeah, I think so.
Or would we just pack it in and die?
No, we'd do it.
We do it.
42, yeah.
So could you do 3 miles and go over some obstacles? Of course you could.
Yeah.
Of course you could. Yeah. Anybody could do this.
Mm-hmm.
They're scared. They don't want to. Their brain is telling them not to do it. They're making up excuses that they're busy, this nonsense, that nonsense. Anybody could do it. If a 696-pound guy could come out and do it, anybody could do it.
Yeah, and 3.5 miles is actually pretty short. So.
Come on, anybody could do it. Nonsense.
The cut down from the original race to now is what was your original race, and then what is it now?
Well, the original race we put on with Branson down at the British Virgin Islands, 350 miles long. And it included, biking, kayaking, running, swimming, coastaleering, even some sailing. Most of the races I put on for the first 10 years of our existence were very long races, 50 miles, 100 miles, 300 miles. And as you can imagine, there were very few takers.
You guys should have a wall of fame for them or something.
We should have a wall of fame for those few people that finished those events. Yeah,
because they did all that and they're still with the company, and that's...
Yeah. And then in 2010, we changed the format. We changed the name to Spartan, and it became more military-inspired obstacles. Mm-hmm. Still very hard, but by the way, anybody could do an Ironman. Anybody could do a marathon. This is easy stuff. My 7-year-old son ran the New York Marathon. My 8-year-old son ran the Boston Marathon. My daughter ran one of our longest distance races, a beast in Indonesia. She was 6. So, by the way, I have a kids' death camp that goes on the last 2 weeks of June. 14 days, death camp. They're tortured every day, 15, 16-hour days, ice cold water, 5 in the morning, carrying rocks up the mountain.
How old are these kids?
They go from, 7 to 15? 7 years old to 15 years old, crying, kicking, screaming. They get it done. The adults show up towards the end of June, and they're there for 3 days, and they're dropping out, and they're quitting, and they're escaping and going in their car. Kids make it 14 days. Mm-hmm. Kids make it 14 days because they have no way out.
Yeah.
They have no way out. They got to get it done.
So you talk about this concept, the no way out.
No way out. Burn the boats. Right? That famous story. No plan B. We got to get it done.
Are you and Goggins ever going to do some sort of collab? Or?
We did years ago. People don't know this. You probably could find the footage, John. But we had him at one of our first races on the farm. He came out and ran one of our first races on the farm. Yeah, he got lost. He ran into a bear.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a crazy story.
Goggins just he found a bear? What do you
We were running, we set up the course, 50-mile course the day before. And when I was setting the course, I don't know if David knows this, when we were setting the course at about mile 32, I was hanging ribbons and I got lost, but I didn't know I was lost. So I kept hanging ribbons because I was on course in my mind. Well, 10 miles later, I realized, oh, I'm in the wrong spot. Let me turn around and follow my ribbons back. When I followed my ribbons back, I found the place where I had made the mistake. Rather than go do the other 10 miles and pull down those ribbons, I just cleaned up like 100 yards of it.
Yeah.
So, because no one would go there.
Yeah.
David went there.
Yeah.
So anyway, he got lost.
Then he ran into a bear.
Ran into a bear out there. Yeah.
Like, what kind of bears are there over there? Like black bears?
Black bears. Sorry, black bears.
I'm surprised you didn't talk about those with Joe. He would have gone about this for 30 minutes talking about the bear and the size of the bear, and then he would make a noise. Like, Joe's funny. But so then, you guys have been going through this adversity. COVID is probably your race, right? That was you guys' race,
That's my
right?
race.
Financially as a race, mentally. And you're at this point now where you're ready, like you guys are ready to just like skyrocket now because you've been through the tough time. You're like, nothing can hurt me,
nothing could break us now.
Nothing can break you guys. And then the only other part of it is you guys have a lot of people, and this is the interesting part. You're transforming people. So as many people as there are is more opportunity. But the generation and the mindset that's attacking the generation is like, oh, it's getting harder and harder to sell.
Maybe it's getting harder and harder to sell, but maybe they wake up like I did one day and they're like, you know what, I feel like shit. Mm-hmm. And all the stuff I've been chasing is superficial. Mm-hmm. And staring at a screen all day doesn't really do anything for me. Mm-hmm. And when they come out and they act like an animal, because you and I are animals, they feel really good and they tell 10 friends. I mean, I'll run into big gamers out there, big gamers. Mm-hmm. that like have just sat in front of screens for 10 years.
Yeah.
And they found us.
Yeah.
And they're roping other gamers in and they're like, this is so much better than sitting in front of a screen. So I think we'll get generation comfort.
So one day they'll grow up and say, I don't want to be this anymore.
I don't want to be this anymore.
The system of whatever has created
Let's go
this.
do something hard together.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never done one.
You're doing one now?
Yeah.
You're doing one now. We're getting your whole tribe and your future tribe to come out. We're setting up a KATN tent. You're putting KATN shirts on like 500 people, and you guys are going to chant and aru and get this thing done.
We'll do it, and then we'll,
John. That's John.
John, you going to come out and film for us?
Yes,
so
he'll come out and film.
Because we want to get this, on camera.
Done.
We want people to see this because it's about spreading the message. That's what we do. That's who we are. It's about like, we want it to stay, as positive as possible. You will run into people. You will interview people that you just inherently disagree with. Yeah. I've realized this now. I'm like, I can't control everything. And also you can't have no controversy because it'll happen. But you do have to stand your ground on what you believe in.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I've had some guys say some crazy stuff. Oh, I don't care about the gym. You should be, making money. It's like, but where are you going to grow? Like, where are you going to get in?
You can't, in business, you want to win a gold medal, right? Mm-hmm. We all want to win a gold medal in business. Mm-hmm. You got to treat yourself like an Olympian, right? Olympian looks at all parts of their life to optimize their life to get the gold medal. You can't just focus. My dad just focused on business, did not take care of his health, died at a young age. He would have did so much better in business and he'd still be living if he took care of his health.
Right.
I mean, business is a combat sport. You got to be in shape.
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand with like I do the martial arts and the business. Yeah. I think they go together 100%. Perfectly. Okay, when it comes to being a Spartan, what does a Spartan eat? Like, what about nutrition?
I think the one thing we could all agree on is remove the processed foods. So whether you're a huge carnivore, whether you're a huge veggie, just stay away from the garbage. Stay away from the processed foods. Don't eat all hours of the day. Mm-hmm. If you wake up in the morning and you're eating, and you're still eating when you go to bed, you've given your digestive system no break. You got to give it a break, right? And then don't overeat. Well, we grew up, we all overate. That's what we were trained to do from our parents. Eat more, eat more, eat more. Try these raviolis. Grandma's cooking. Mm-hmm. So don't eat too much. Don't eat a ton of processed, and don't eat all hours of the day. Mm-hmm. That's what we could all agree on as Spartans. What do you guys recommend people eat though? Like, do you guys have any parts? I definitely lean more towards eat more salad. Mm-hmm. My main message is eat more salad. Mm-hmm.
Because is it because you could just eat as much as you want and you never will?
Well, it's clean, it's natural, and all the work I've done on it. Again, I came from a mom who was a vegan. All the work I've done on it, it's just I'm healthier. I feel better when I'm eating more salad.
But are you a vegetarian or you?
I eat meat.
You meat?
I eat meat, but I eat more salad.
And then when it comes to it's like preparing for a race, somebody's like the first time. What do you guys tell them?
Eat more salad.
That's it.
All this nonsense that we're being told. Like you got to eat more of this. You got to it's all nonsense. I did a race across Alaska called the Iditarod. I was out there for 14, 15 days in the snow. My eyelashes were frozen shut. I was doing it primarily on raw fruits and veggies and clean food. There was there was no special cakes or packaging or bar. There was none of that stuff. So think about our ancestors and the crazy explorations they had gone on without whey protein.
Yeah.
Miraculously.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's also overprescribed is the use of these supplements, right?
That's how you sell customers more stuff.
Yeah.
Now, certainly we do need more electrolytes. We do need more of the things that used to be in the soil that are no longer there. So you do need to supplement. But instead of us talking about what to put in our diet, let's focus on what to take out of our diet. Take the processed foods out.
So what are the kind of foods you eat then? Specifically just
more salad. I love cucumber salad.
Yeah.
I love avocado. I just had a bowl of ancient grains up the street from here. I had a green juice. If I was in the mood tonight, I could have a burger. I wouldn't do it with the bun. I would just have a burger. I don't eat a lot of meat. I try to stay away from as much processed foods as possible.
Does meat count as processed? I mean,
no, I would say the boxed stuff, the garbage. Stay away from the garbage.
I love Joe. So I was watching Joe's, you guys were talking about the elk and the guy they dragged it and
the deer story.
The deer story. And so I was wondering, are you big on hunting or?
We have a farm. We have 700 acres. It's surrounded by 250,000 acres in Vermont. There are lots of my friends that come up and hunt. I don't hunt. I don't know if I have trauma from when I was in the neighborhood and humans were being hunted. But I'm not hunting.
When it comes to your work-life balance, what's your opinion?
Don't believe in balance. I believe in work-life integration. How do I integrate things together? How do I incorporate and bring my kids to work? How do I bring my work home? How do we do it all together? Because something's got to give. If I took a hard stance and said, "Oh, no more work after this time, no more family life after this time," that would not be optimal.
And your relationship too with your wife and
my wife somehow still puts up with me. So you got to definitely find the right partner. If you're a workaholic maniac like I am, and you're a crazy person, you have to find a mate that can deal with it.
Yeah, that's tough one.
tough one. But the good news is, if you're out dating, which I know you are, and you're bumping into people that have done Spartan races, you're already swimming in the right pool.
Yeah, it's better than right. It is people who are conditioning themselves to greater,
That's right.
To be greater,
better.
either growing or
dying.
Joe De Sena, we had an hour. I would love to do another one.
Yeah.
Someday because I've been kind of revisiting. Yeah. So I think that'd be incredible. And so thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And you guys will have this out and all on YouTube stuff. Thank you.